It sat in the parking lot for 3 days. To the residents of the apartment complex on Ricker Road in Jacksonville, it was just another vehicle taking up space under the Florida sun. A red, heavy-duty Ford Expedition. But inside that silence, the car was screaming. When police finally looked through the glass on November 8, 2000, they didn't see a driver. They didn't see a woman waiting for her husband. They saw a purse sitting on the seat. They saw a cell phone that had rung until the battery died. They saw a set of keys that had never been used to drive away. And then they looked in the back. On the rear passenger seat, soaked into the fabric, was the one thing that turns a missing person case into a nightmare. Blood. The owner of the car was a mother of 6 who had fought her way back from the brink of addiction to reclaim her life. She was supposed to be at work. Instead, her car was abandoned, her blood was in the back seat, and the person who knew where she was about to light a match.
In the world of missing persons mysteries, silence is often the loudest clue. To understand why this empty car was so terrifying, you have to understand the woman who was supposed to be driving it. Her name was Geanna Maria Jones. In the autumn of 2000, Geanna was 36 years old. She was a woman with a past, but she was defined by how hard she was fighting for her future. She had struggled with drug abuse in previous years, a battle that consumes so many. But Geanna had come out the other side. By November, she was clean. She was sober. She was present. She was the anchor for a massive family, a mother of 6 children. 2 were already adults, out in the world, but 4 were still minors living under her roof, depending on her for everything. Geanna wasn't just existing, she was building. She and her husband, Wilfred L. Jones, had just packed up their lives and moved into a new home in Jacksonville. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a new house for a recovered mother and her children. The timeline of the end begins on the morning of November 5, 2000. According to the only witness, her husband, Wilfred, the morning began like any other Sunday commute. He told authorities that Geanna grabbed her things, said goodbye, and walked out the door of their new residence. She was heading to work in Jacksonville. It's a story police hear constantly. She left for work. She went to the store. It establishes normalcy. It suggests that whatever happened out there, in the world, away from the safety of home. But the clock kept ticking. Geanna was a woman who had worked hard to regain stability. People in recovery who have regained custody and trust don't usually vanish. They don't skip shifts. They don't leave their children wondering where dinner is. She never arrived at work. As the hours bled into the evening and the evening into the next day, the silence in that new house grew heavy. She had not been heard from. For a mother of 6, silence isn't just unusual, it's impossible. The family was paralyzed by that unique kind of dread that comes when a routine snaps. Was she in an accident? Was she in a hospital? Or had the demons of her past come back to haunt her? But Geanna was 5'9", 165 pounds, a strong presence. She had a gold tooth that flashed when she smiled, and a small rose tattooed on her left leg. She was distinct. If she was out there, someone should have seen her. No one did. It took 3 days for the first domino to fall. On November 8th, 3 days after she allegedly walked out the door, Geanna's vehicle was located. It wasn't found on a highway, and it wasn't found near her workplace. It was found at an apartment complex in the 5100 block of Ricker Road. When investigators looked at the map, the location sent a chill through the case. This wasn't a random abandonment. The apartment complex was only 1 to 3 miles from her family's home. If she had left for work, as her husband claimed, why was her car parked just a few minutes from her driveway? Detectives approached the red 2000 Ford Expedition with caution. In missing person cases, the car is often the biography of the last few hours. They peered inside, and the theory of a runaway mom or a relapse evaporated instantly. Geanna's purse was still inside. Her cellular phone was there. Her keys were sitting there. These are the lifelines of modern existence. A woman fleeing her life takes her money. A woman relapsing takes her car. A woman leaving her husband takes her keys. Leaving everything behind is usually a sign that you didn't leave voluntarily. It's a sign you were taken. But it was the back seat that turned this into a crime scene. Investigators found stains on the back passenger seat. Field tests confirmed what they feared. It appeared to be blood. Now the timeline Wilfred gave them didn't make sense. If she left for work in the morning, how did she end up bleeding in the back seat of her own car, just miles from home, without her keys or phone? The Jacksonville Police Department launched an extensive search. They canvassed the area around Ricker Road. They brought in dive teams to scour a nearby retention pond, fearing her body might have been weighed down and tossed into the murky water. They found nothing in the water. But the evidence in the car pointed in one specific direction: backwards. Back to the last place she was seen alive. Back to the new home she shared with Wilfred. Detectives realized they needed to get inside that house. They needed to see if the happy new home was actually a crime scene. They went to a judge. They drafted the paperwork. They requested a warrant to search Geanna's residence. They were closing in. They just needed a few more hours to get the signature and open that front door. But someone else was watching the clock too, and they decided to make sure there was nothing left for the police to find.
The police were fast, but the fire was faster. Before investigators could obtain the warrant, before they could step foot inside to spray luminol or look for signs of a struggle, Geanna's home erupted in flames. It happened during the day. The 4 minor children were safely away at school. The house should have been quiet, but inside the master bedroom, an inferno was raging. When emergency crews arrived, the damage was catastrophic. The master bedroom, the most intimate room in the house and often the site of domestic violence, was destroyed. Standing outside the burning home was Wilfred Jones. When questioned about how his wife's bedroom caught fire just days after she vanished and mere hours before a police search, Wilfred had an explanation ready. He told authorities he had been smoking in bed. He claimed he drifted off to sleep, the cigarette dropped, and the bed caught fire. An accident. A clumsy, terrible accident that just happened to occur at the worst possible moment for the investigation. It was a convenient story. But fire investigators didn't buy it. They sifted through the wreckage. They looked at the burn patterns, the point of origin, the speed of the blaze. Science has a way of cutting through lies. The fire investigators ruled that this was not a dropped cigarette. It was arson. Someone had intentionally set that fire. The implications were horrifying. Arson is rarely a crime of passion. It is a crime of concealment. It is an attempt to erase history. Despite the destruction, despite the water damage from the fire hoses and the charring of the walls, investigators moved in. They finally had access to the home. The fire was meant to scrub the house clean, to burn away the DNA and the secrets. It failed. Inside the residence, amidst the ruin, investigators found what they had been looking for. They found Geanna's blood. And it wasn't just blood. The official reports state they found additional unspecified indications of foul play inside that home. The narrative had shifted violently. This was no longer a missing person case. This was a puzzle where the pieces were being burned one by one. The blood in the car, the blood in the house, the arson, the husband's lie about the cigarette. Wilfred Jones was standing at the center of a storm. The police declared the house a probable crime scene. He was barred from entering. But knowing what happened and proving it in a court of law are two very different things.
You might be listening to this thinking, they have him. They have the blood, the lies, the arson. Case closed. But in the year 2000, the justice system hit a wall that frustrates detectives to this day. Prosecutors look for certainty. They look for a body. Without Geanna's body, the defense could argue she was still alive, or that the blood was from an old injury. And then there was the fire. While investigators ruled it arson, the physical evidence connecting Wilfred specifically to the act of starting the fire was circumstantial. There was no video of him lighting the match. The result was a devastating blow to Geanna's family. No one was charged with the fire due to a lack of evidence. No one was charged with murder. Wilfred Jones didn't stay to help search for his missing wife. Reportedly, shortly after the disappearance and the fire, he left the Jacksonville area entirely. He walked away from the charred house, the blood-stained car, and the investigation. But the most heartbreaking casualties of this mystery were the children. Geanna had 6 children. 4 of them were minors. In the span of 2 weeks in November 2000, they lost their mother to a disappearance and their home to a fire. Now, with their father figure leaving town and their mother gone, the system stepped in. In mid-November 2000, the 4 youngest children were placed in the custody of the Florida Department of Children's Services. Imagine the trauma. They were moved to relatives, then shuffled into foster care. One of Geanna's adult daughters fought for them. She sought custody, trying to keep what was left of the family together. But the damage was done. The family unit Geanna had tried so hard to build was shattered. 2 years passed. In November 2002, investigators briefly sparked hope. They announced publicly that they hoped to finally make an arrest in connection with Geanna's presumed murder. The community held its breath. The children waited. But the handcuffs never came out. No arrests were made. No suspects were ever publicly identified beyond the shadow of suspicion cast on her husband. Wilfred Jones remained a free man, and Geanna remained missing. Today, the disappearance of Geanna Maria Jones is classified as endangered missing, with foul play suspected. The theories in this case aren't complicated. There are no reports of a serial killer in the area. There are no signs of a random carjacking. Remember, her purse and phone were left behind, money untouched. The evidence points to a domestic tragedy. Theory 1 is that an altercation occurred in the home, the new home they had just moved into. This explains the blood found inside. The killer then moved Geanna's body using her own SUV, dumping the car at the nearby apartment complex to stage a scene, but leaving the blood in the back seat. The fire, set days later, was a desperate final attempt to destroy the forensic link between the house and the car. It is a theory that fits every piece of physical evidence found, and yet, without a body, the case is frozen. Geanna has joined the tragic list of missing people who were never found. Geanna would be in her 60s today. She should be a grandmother watching those 6 children grow up. Instead, she is a memory, a photo in a cold case file. Someone knows exactly what happened in that master bedroom before the fire started. Someone knows where Geanna was taken. If you have any information regarding the location of Geanna Jones or the events of November 2000 in Jacksonville, Florida, please contact the Jacksonville Police Department. Her children deserve to know why their mother never came home, and the person who lit that match deserves to face the justice they tried to burn away. What do you think stopped prosecutors from charging Wilfred Jones, even with the blood and the arson ruling? Was it purely the lack of a body, or was something else missed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe these stories need to be told so victims like Geanna aren't forgotten, please like this video and subscribe. It helps us keep the search alive.